I'm in a garden in the Lower East Side that's literally called The Miracle, and I wrote this. Anger is a force just like anything else, and if you don't know how to handle it, you will become the worst person ever. Worst case scenario, if you don't have a handle on your emotions, you will start to resemble a psychopath. A lot of the New Age movement espouses love and light and the eradication of negative emotions to get what you want. But if you don't acknowledge, come into awareness, and process your emotions, you will be a murderous, lying sack of failed humanity, putting daggers in people's skins because you don't, won't, or can't acknowledge the seething rage inside of you. Yes, you, Miss Love and Light, Miss I can heal you. It's false light if you can't say to yourself, ever, I am wrong. I have misplaced anger about something else, and since I can't express anger ever, I will suppress it. And the rage I have for others for not being there for me when I was traumatized when I was younger, for betraying me for that crime, for betrayal of emotional abuse and gaslighting from others my whole life, from my dysfunctional childhood family of origin, from my peer group, from wherever. My defense mechanisms, therefore, are going to be primitive, like a child's, about age 4 to 7, because that's the first memory I have of that childish, unprocessed, unacknowledged, dysfunctional confusion and rage enacted on me by my abusers, usually a family member. And so, like the mean girls in school who are often born into it that way too, because of a lifetime of dysfunction themselves, they will also attract and latch on to that dysfunction enacted onto them and project that dysfunction onto any one person, place, or thing who even so much as resembles, attracts, or acknowledges the dysfunction. Anyone who just says what they've observed and noticed in themselves will be punished. And that sets off the trap, the tripwire of dysfunction in the people who feel they've been exposed by the oftentimes only truthful person they've met. Usually a highly sensitive person with different coping mechanisms who often is simply being observant and doesn't understand the backlash they're receiving, but who will not co-sign on their bullshit. And that is what offsets the obsession, the dysfunction in the alpha female mean girls of the world. They want nothing more than to tear her down and set upon her and take her down a peg. That is what creates the environment for destruction of the empath. A lot of feminine aggression, feminine forms of aggression, that doesn't have to be gender-based. But female aggression is usually about destruction and yin energy being misused. This is especially true in places where repression and conformity are the name of the game. Expression and sharing are not encouraged. Blind expression, however, without critique or dissent, is very much encouraged. Mindless mantras, the devolution of humanity through distrust of logic and intellect. Your thoughts and feelings don't matter. It's all about the collective. That is a slave mentality. True expression is not bad. It's beautiful, even when it's angry, because it has to do with authenticity. False expression is love and light, one size fits all, untested, unchecked, fuck all aphorisms like, God will save you. Your children are well protected by the state. All you need is love. Believe it or not, these are all collectivist utopian fantasies that have nothing to do with feeling good, safe, sane, or whole. because it negates your shadow. It negates your full range of expression, and it negates who you truly are. There's lots of terminology used in the New Age communities concerning false twin flames, narcissists, codependents, and that sort of thing, but very little acknowledgement of the full range of expression. The New Age movement is anti-intellectual, conformist in the extreme, and filled to the brim with the defense mechanism known as projection. Oh, I don't want to feel that nasty emotion that you're giving me. And you're reminding me of my lousy childhood and a feeling that gives me a memory of horrible abuse that I don't want to process or talk about or look at. Therefore, you are responsible, not me, for bringing up that expression of a feeling I don't like, because I haven't done my shadow work, I haven't done my inner child work, and you have. And you are more sane about that expression of energy or emotion. And your acknowledgement of that emotion reminds me of that unpleasant experience of abuse that I have experienced, and that it does exist. And then that puts me in a very vulnerable position. And I don't like feeling vulnerable because I don't take charge of my emotional life or healing. Therefore, instead of dealing with that unprocessed emotion, I will instead say, you caused that in me, which is just aggression. That's violence, love and lighters. That is the exact opposite of what you claim to be. That person is telling you basically, and I'm 99.999% sure and willing to bet, that that person was abused as a child, probably emotionally, if not in addition to all the other forms of abuse, where their feelings were consistently negated. And in order to get some scrap of love from their parent, usually the opposite sex parent, but not limited to that, she had to kowtow her emotions and what she was actually feeling to gaslighting and trying to be the good girl or the good little boy, or else she was going to be punished. And that was probably his or her first experience with projection, because the ultimate excuse of the abuser is a phrase commonly used: see what you made me do. And this person probably heard variations on a theme from that, but that's the classic stereotypical example of an abuser. See what you made me do. You did this. That's their first experience with projection. And at some point, this angel healer or donya or shaman or psychic or midwife was probably scapegoated. And in order to get that little crumb of love from that person, they brainwashed themselves into conforming to their oppressor and identifying with their oppressor, which is a real condition called Stockholm Syndrome. So they identify with the oppressor in the same way that a person who's being held hostage identifies with their attacker so they won't be killed. It was something that resembled love, but in reality, it was just conformity, blind conformity to authority. And that has to stop. That's what I came here to stop that. That is part and parcel of why the New Age community is all about a bunch of abused, dejected, wounded scapegoats who march in lockstep time to the tune of this or that cult leader, phenomenon, or guru, trendy as it is. And who often, these cult leaders, these gurus, these cults of personalities are often a bundle of unprocessed defense mechanisms themselves, a bundle of vulnerabilities that are unprocessed, that they can't look at or heal, because there's usually a pretty high chance that that person is also riddled with personality disorders, as it usually goes, for people who give up their power en masse to learn from a guru. This is the 21st century, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have to have that anymore. But what we do have to have desperately right now is autonomy and thinking for ourselves, compassionately, intelligently. But we have to learn autonomy. Empaths have so much creative capital that's being wasted and not being used, and they must uncover it. Like an archaeologist uncovering an artifact, they must name it, they must claim it, they must own it, and then they must express it. So watch what you came for, because you just might get it. Hence the need for more alternatives to the New Age bowel movement, not less. Acknowledged expressions of pain and processing that pain, not less. More evolution of self that springs from that pain, and more gold that springs from that evolution, which is the inevitable outcome, if done correctly. I will be taking clients starting June 4th. For coaching inquiries, please visit onyabreaks.com and leave me a message on the contact page, and I will get back to you as soon as possible and we can start training, because empathy is something that, if caught early enough, psychopaths can learn, and autonomy and independence is something that scapegoats can also learn. Empaths, you are not learning your strengths through conformity. Adversity and struggle, it makes you a better person and is gold, but only if it is applied correctly. If not, well, I think we've seen what happens then. Cue big explosion. Properly applied, your struggles are your gold. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you know someone trapped in the New Age bowel movement presently who is dissatisfied and wants some resolution to their problems, please send them this lesson. But send it with love, because if it means they want to look at this and they want out, it means they are ready. And they've had it with the defense mechanisms in others. They've had it with the childish defense mechanisms in themselves. They want to learn a better way, and they want more authenticity in their lives. And the chain reaction that creates is beauty. So I'm so proud of you if you're watching this and you got what I'm saying. And I can't wait to meet you then. Goodbye, and I'll speak with you soon.